Yeah, hi guys. Today another important topic in this 100 days session is mechanism of breathing. Yeah, there are number of questions coming from this concept in the NEET. Okay. Yeah, mechanism of breathing. Actually, is breathing is what? What are the organs involved the breathing? What are the parts involved in the breathing? Okay. Breathing nothing but it is the inhale of gas and exhale of gas, which is like oxygen rich air intake and carbon dioxide rich going to out from this body. Guys, just look into here. Yeah, breathing is the physical process taking oxygen here. Yeah, it is the physical process taking oxygen and it is removing the carbon dioxide. Okay. Yeah, it is also called pulmonary ventilation. This is, they can ask you this term in the exam. Pulmonary ventilation, nothing but it is the breathing. Okay. Yeah, in the question framework they can use, instead of mechanism of breathing they can use the pulmonary ventilation. Okay. Yes, and involves inhalation, it is inspiration, and exhalation is expiration. Guys, it is the mechanism of breathing. There is a inspiration and expiration, that is inhale and exhale of gases. Okay. Yes, and if come to the next slide. Yeah, respiratory system overview about the breathing, which is, yeah, oxygen which is produced plants, in the atmosphere. Okay, this atmospheric O2 with the partial pressure, this can be enter first nasal cavity. It is nasal cavity which is like the part of respiratory system, respiratory tract. First step, which is enter into the pharynx. After that pharynx there is a part which is larynx. These are the windpipe parts, the pre parts of the windpipe. And after that trachea nothing but it is the windpipe. Gases passes through trachea. After that, these are the tubes which is trachea further divided into bronchi and bronchioles. Finally, they can reach lungs, alveolus. Okay. These muscles are helps to the gas enter into the muscles. Okay. This is the over organs are involved in the breathing and as well respiration. Okay. The respiratory system overview, the parts which are involved in the respiratory organized, these organs are involved for the respiration. Okay. Yes, cool. And we will going to discuss the mechanism of breathing. Okay. Yeah, phases of the breathing, phases as well, two phases, that is inhalation, intake of oxygen, and exhalation. Okay. Yeah, and if come to the process of the breathing, yes, inhalation mean intake of oxygen. Okay, we will going to discuss. Inhalation. Okay, intake of oxygen rich air, intake of oxygen rich air. Okay. Yes, and if the oxygen rich air intake where they enter, oxygen enters into thoracic cavity, thoracic cavity which is upper part of the body is thoracic chamber, which is thoracic cavity. Thoracic cavity there are certain parts, okay, which is protect the lungs, okay. Yeah, the gas oxygen which is enter into the lungs, primarily lungs protected by certain parts in the thoracic cavity that are dorsally vertebral column, yeah, I will write it in the correct way. Yeah, this is like I am right here. Vertebral column, and that is thoracic vertebrae up to the T5 among T12, thoracic vertebrae T12, right, T12, okay, vertebral column of the thoracic T12. Here lungs located about thoracic vertebrae which is T5, okay. Yes, and there are these 12 bones are involved in the breathing. 12 bones are involved in the breathing. That is why we have to write thoracic chamber which is up to T12, up to T12. Dorsally, this is dorsally, and ventrally sternum, this is one bone, sternum, and laterally means sides, ribs. Ribs are connected to the thoracic vertebra, that is 12 ribs, 12 thoracic T12, right, T12 ribs are both sides left and right, okay, connected to the ventrally sternum, some up to the 7 ribs, true ribs are they are connected to the sternum, and sternocondyle ribs which is 8th, 9th, 10th, floating ribs are 11th and 12th, okay. These ribs 12 into 2 is equal to 24. Thoracic cavity which is the skeletal system of thoracic cavity, these are the skeletal system which is 37 bones is supported thoracic cavity. Supports thoracic cavity. So, thoracic chamber which is support 37 bones, that is thoracic vertebra 12, ribs are 12 into 2 both sides which is 24 and 1 sternum. These are located in the thoracic cavity which is thoracic chamber which is protects the lungs. This skeletal system which is involved in the involves in breathing, and two muscles, skeletal muscles to involve in the breathing. What are the skeletal muscles involved in the breathing? Skeletal muscles are what? That is one diaphragm and another one intercostal muscles they are located at between the ribs so these skeletal muscles also involve in the breathing. Breathing nothing but inhale the oxygen and exhale the carbon dioxide. So if the oxygen inhale, what are the changes going to take place in the skeletal system of the thoracic cavity? And these are the muscles what they can do. Actually, if come to the air enter into the thoracic cavity, thoracic chamber, the ventral part, what happened? Ventral part of the sternum, what happened? And the like dorsal vertebral column, what happened? And ribs, what they can do? And diaphragm shape is what? Changes in the diaphragm and intercostal muscles are what? Okay, in the thoracic chamber, it is the mechanical process which is they can mechanically change these shapes like positions of these skeletals and muscles in the mechanism of breathing. Okay, it is the mechanical process, mean physical process. It is not any chemical reaction is going to take place in this mechanism of breathing, which is physical process. So thoracic cavity, the chamber, airtight chamber, which is lungs. If it is gas enter into the lungs, the airtight chamber going to increase, the pressure going to increase, intrapulmonary pressure. Okay, yeah. If come to this, there is a pressure gradient between two mediums when atmospheric air enters into the lungs, there is a intrapulmonary pressure increase. This is okay. When the air enter into the lungs, there is a intrapulmonary pressure increase, but there is a air, how they can enter into the lungs? Is there any external force is came into existence for the push the air into the lungs? Yeah, of course. Air can travel through the pressure gradient in the between the two mediums. Two mediums are what here? Atmosphere and lungs. If the atmospheric air pressure is more, lungs pressure is less, air travel atmosphere to lungs. Just look into here, how much atmospheric air, not about partial pressure of oxygen here. Here partial pressure of oxygen is helps to binding the oxygen into the hemoglobin, but atmospheric pressure helps to the air which is inhaled into the lungs. That is the difference between atmospheric pressure and partial pressure of oxygen. Don't confuse, partial pressure of oxygen different, atmospheric air pressure is different. Atmospheric air, guys, yeah, take screenshot this, I'll going to explain atmospheric air. Okay, yeah, if the atmospheric air is higher than lungs, the air which is enter into the lungs, the atmospheric air, how much pressure is there, which is 760 to mmHg. The lungs air pressure which is 758 mmHg. So air travel from here to here because of the atmospheric air which is 762 mmHg. Lung air pressure is intrapulmonary pressure. Lungs pressure mean intrapulmonary pressure. Okay. This is intrapulmonary pressure. Pressure. Okay, this is intrapulmonary pressure of lungs. This is air atmospheric pressure. Guys, partial pressure is different. Atmospheric pressure mean there is a mixture of gases all over, nitrogen, oxygen, CO2, argon, like this all over gases are have pressure. This is atmospheric pressure, the mixture of gases. In this oxygen partial pressure is how much? In the atmospheric oxygen partial pressure is how much? This is 159 mmHg. All over itself it is 762 mmHg, which is directly enter into the lungs. But partial pressure of oxygen due to 159 mmHg which is enter into the lungs, that is 104 mmHg, likely to binding with hemoglobin. Hemoglobin is the part of head part directly contact with the oxygen, unlike other gases. That is different, but mechanism of breathing is different. Yeah, if the atmospheric pressure due to this gas which is air enter into the lungs, if air enters into lungs, sorry, this is 760 mmHg, 760 mmHg. If air enter into the lungs, air atmospheric air here, just look into here, which is 760, atmospheric air which is 760, if the air enters in the inhalation, air enters, this is 760 mmHg, in the lungs, intrapulmonary pressure will increase if the gas enter, which is up to 762 mmHg, 762 mmHg. So, in this condition, the atmospheric pressure is less than intrapulmonary pressure. In this condition, air they can enter from lungs to atmosphere. Lungs to atmosphere. This is exhalation. This is all our pressure gradients which is created between the two mediums, between the atmosphere and lungs. What happened in this condition? If the inhalation going to take place, what happened in the thoracic chamber and what happened in the exhalation in the thoracic chamber? What are the parts affect this? Okay, we are going to discuss. In the chapter name breathing. Okay? Yes. So, what happened here in the mechanism of breathing? Yeah, there is a inhalation and exhalation where the pressure gradients different between the two mediums. Okay? In that condition, inhalation, what happened in this like diaphragm in the thoracic cavity? Yeah, diaphragm contract and moves downwards. What is diaphragm here? It is the skeletal muscle. Diaphragm is the skeletal muscle which is a dome shape which is can separate thoracic cavity and abdominal cavity. The skeletal muscle, dome shaped skeletal muscle which is separate thoracic cavity and abdominal cavity. Okay? So, if the gas enter into thoracic chamber, that create pressure gradient that can push diaphragm into the downward, mean it is the skeletal muscle, right? If it is expand into the flat, the muscle can be contract, contract. So diaphragm shape get into like flatten. Okay, the upward of the sternum can move, upward, and there is a anterior and posterior of the thoracic chamber will increase. The size of thoracic chamber anterior posteriorly will increase. This is the active process, and there is a external intercostal muscle, internal intercostal muscle located between the ribs. Ribs can be expand, that leads to that muscle can be contract. Okay. So here just look into here, the external diaphragm contracts and move downward as usual. External intercostal muscle contract and rib cage move up into the sternum and outward. Thoracic cavity volume increase up to the 762 mmHg. Okay, thoracic chamber will increase this pressure. Okay, intrapulmonary pressure will decrease. Intrapulmonary pressure decreases, air rushes into the lungs. Yeah, of course, when as compared with atmospheric pressure, intrapulmonary pressure decrease, then only the air which is enter. Got it? If the as compared with atmospheric pressure, the intrapulmonary pressure will decrease, that leads to the air which is from the atmospheric into the like thoracic chamber, there is a air enter. Okay, nothing but it is the active process. Active process, ATP consume, energy consume, okay. Inhalation is the active process which is like ATP consume, like energy consume. Yeah, if come to the exhalation, exhalation nothing but there is a reverse process, the air which is exit out when there is a intrapulmonary pressure increase. When there is a intrapulmonary pressure increase up to the 762 mmHg, then atmospheric air will decrease as compared with this. So the gas which is reversibly exit out from the thoracic chamber. In that condition, diaphragm is going to become again dome shape, mean same position, and ribs and there is a like intercostal muscle, they can reverse in their position. This is about exhalation, which is passive process. There is no need of energy consumption for this mechanical action of the exhalation. Okay? Yeah, guys, I hope you guys understand about it. Okay? Okay, guys, I'll give you the best teaching for the subject of zoology. Please continue about my classes. 100% I'll give you my effort for your crack 180 marks to 180 marks about zoology. I'll make sure I'll give you best. Okay, from the physiology or all over zoology, I'll give you best. Okay, yeah, from the NCERT to deep analysis. And based on the trend of NTA people like NEET people, how they make the questions, okay, we will go to that side only. Guys, believe me, I know what actually NTA people want from you guys for the making questions, how they framework the questions, the innovative, understanding level, application oriented level, and skilled based observation oriented questions they can make. Okay, they can follow certain parameters, according to that we have to follow them. Okay, we can make the efficient teaching and as well we can make the efficient questions. Okay, every session I am going to give you the MCQs and as well based on the trend of the NEET. Okay, guys, I'll give you 100% best. Okay, you have to get 180 score in the zoology. I'll make sure that. Okay, yes, guys. Next, yeah, types of breathing, which is normal breathing, which is about 12 to 15 per minute. Okay, breathing times about 12 to 15. The it is diaphragmatic breathing, deep breathing using diaphragm. Coastal breathing is there, forced breathing is there. We will going to discuss in the respiratory volume. Okay, yes, yeah. Control of breathing. Who can control the breathing? This is the regulation of the breathing. We will going to discuss in the regulation of breathing concept. Okay, yes. And summary about this mechanism of breathing. Breathing involve it is coordinated actions, muscles and pressure changes between the two mediums, essential for the gas exchanged for the survival. Of course, it is controlled by nervous system. Of course, we will going to discuss the regulation of breathing chapter, like concept in this nows which is involved. Yeah, guys, MCQs relevant topic, mechanism of breathing, MCQs. Yeah, it is PYQ. Just look into it here. This is NEET PYQ 2020. NEET PYQ 2020. Which of the following changes occur during the inspiration? During the inspiration, what are the changes going to take place? Diaphragm relax and moves up. No, diaphragm can contract in the inhalation. External intercostal muscle relax. No, external intercostal muscle can be contract. In the inhalation, there is a contraction of the muscles, and volume of thoracic cavity increase. Of course, there is a volume of thoracic cavity will increase in the mechanism of breathing, inhalation. Intrapulmonary pressure will increase. Of course, intrapulmonary pressure decrease. If the intrapulmonary pressure low as compared with atmospheric pressure, there is a inhalation going to take place. So, fourth one, D also wrong answer, which is C is the right option for this. Okay? Yes. Next question. NEET 2019. NEET 2019. Yeah. What happened when diaphragm contracts? Of course, diaphragm contracts when the inhalation going to take place in the body, in the thoracic cavity. Lungs volume decrease. No, lungs volume will increase, then only diaphragm contract. Intrapulmonary pressure will increase. No, intrapulmonary pressure decrease, then only gas enter. And thoracic volume decrease. No, thoracic chamber, the increase, it is going to be tightened. Yeah, intrapulmonary pressure become lower than atmospheric pressure. Yeah, of course. How much? How much? Okay. Yeah, intrapulmonary pressure which is lower than atmospheric pressure. Intrapulmonary pressure, it is 758, lower than atmosphere, which is 762 mmHg. That is why the air which is from the atmosphere to pulmonary, yeah, air always enters from high pressure to low pressure. High pressure to low pressure. Okay, I hope you guys understand. The answer is D. Yeah, next. Yeah, NEET 2018, inspiration is facilitated by, of course, there are thoracic chamber, ventrally sternum, dorsally vertebral column, sides, ribs, and down is diaphragm. There is a muscle, intercostal muscle between the ribs, they are facilitated, right? So, contraction of diaphragm, of course contraction of diaphragm facilitate for the inspiration, relaxation of diaphragm for the facilitate for the exhalation, relaxation of intercostal muscle, no contraction for the inspiration, increase of intrapulmonary pressure, no decrease of intrapulmonary pressure is leads to the inhalation, relaxation of diaphragm, no contraction of diaphragm. Answer is contraction of diaphragm. 2017 NEET question, which of the following is muscles are responsible for the increase the volume of thoracic chamber in the anterior posterior axis, mean upward and downwards, downward diaphragm. Yeah, of course diaphragm, intercostal muscles and external intercostal muscle, abdominal muscles. Of course it is external intercostal muscle or reason for the anterior posterior contraction, like increase size. Okay guys, NEET 2016, what initiate the process of inspiration, mean inhalation. Of course as we know, the contraction of external intercostal muscle, not relaxation at all to support the inhalation, and it is about contraction of external intercostal muscle, not internal intercostal muscle. Okay, increase the alveolus pressure, no decrease the alveolus pressure actually. Okay, yeah, AIPMT question, expiration of air occurs when, yeah, of course relaxation, the thoracic pressure is become more than atmospheric pressure. Of course from the high pressure to low pressure the air moves. Okay, from the intrapulmonary pressure to there is a atmosphere pressure, air moves. Okay, this is the questions, previous year questions. Okay guys, we will come to the more MCQs relevant questions in each topic of 100 days session. Guys, I will give you the best teaching for you, I will make you more efficient. You have to mention the comment and like and share this video. Okay guys, subscribe NEET World, will give you best online. Okay, thank you. Hi Sky bro.